Hi everyone. Yeah, this is our third time doing this algolab thing where we try to talk about how you do live coding, or how we do it, or how we like to do it. And yeah, my name is Søren Peter, and I've been doing live coding for some half a year now, or something like that, together with Mattia and Christopher, who's together with them, we are Live Coders Collective Copenhagen, not just LCCC. And the two other guys, they're doing music, and I'm doing visuals. That's what we're gonna look at tonight. I have fired up my editor, which is Atom, and it has a built-in terminal that I set up, but I need to start the server that is a web server called Improviz that generates the video, and they talk to each other over HTTP, so you can set up over network, and that's what we've been doing in some of these performances earlier. That I've been coding on my computer and just sending the code to Christopher, and then he broadcasted it on his machine to the internet. And that's why one of the reasons why I like this tool compared to something like Hydra or shader coding, which is also really cool, but it's a lot more difficult than Improviz. Improviz is a lot like processing or P5.js, if any of you know those tools. It's a bit more simple in its syntax and therefore easier to work with, and it has some nice features with textures, and I'll try to turn this on, so you can put in your own images and even GIF files to have it and use your own content instead of just having like just shapes. There's some built-in 3D shapes, and you can add your own if you know 3D design thingy like Blender and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, and of course feel free to ask any questions in the chat whenever. What I thought to do was to take some sketches from my notebook that you should see now. No, okay, it's just a blank page that I've been keeping in my pocket for a long time that I wanted to try out. So I thought that would be a nice task for tonight to see how I could manage to do something like that. Yeah. So one idea, like the most basic thing you can make in Improviz is a cube like we have here, and you can make it transparent or like have no, just so you can see the drawing, the lines on it only. But an idea I have here is to kind of build my own box from rectangles. So I think that's what I'm gonna try to do now, and see how it goes and see if it can do some interesting stuff, because that's how I normally do stuff. I have an idea and then I try to build it and see what happens, and then I play around with random numbers, like not necessarily by the computer, but just me making up numbers and seeing how it works. And often it turns up to something I had no idea that was possible, but that looks pretty or cool, and then I work on that further. So yeah, let's try that. Yeah. What we have here right now is just a background, and it takes numbers from 0, which is black, to 255, which is white, or you can make it other colors by having more numbers separated by a comma. So the first is red, and the next is green, and the last is blue, and then you can mix them together to make different colors. Oops. So, but for now I think we'll just start with gray, because we just want to do get some shapes going. And this one is also very important. It's the time function that I'm doing some math on, so it goes a bit slower. So that's what we use to make things move. You know, I just use the time separately, or you can put it into different math things, or divide it as it does here to make things go slower. So if you put rotate before something, then all the things that comes after it will be doing that. So if you move it divided by 20, then it goes a lot faster, and if you multiply it, it goes a lot faster. But right now I think we'll just set it like this. No, that's too fast. So yeah. So if you want to build a cube and try to, like, my idea is to build a cube and then have the sides of it being able to move by them separately, so they can like kind of disassemble the cube and reassemble it. So let's try to see how that goes. So we will need a rectangle, and that's just, yeah, that's just a rectangle. So we will need to move, we're gonna do more rectangles, and we need to move them around. So we need to use the move function, and it takes 3 arguments, x, y, and z. And 0 is in the middle of the screen. So we probably want to keep the 0, 0, 0 in the center, so we can move things around there. So let's try rectangle. Let's see. So if we rotate everything, okay, the simplest would be to have one going forward, so +1, and the other one going backwards. And you probably can't see anything because they block each other. We do no fill, and we could see the shapes, and they don't see anything. So if we rotate to see where things, okay, so that kind of works. That's a little so then we need to make them maybe go closer. So instead of moving them 1, we just move them a half. Yep. And the same for the negative. So now they're a bit closer, because I think the size of this cube is also 1. There's no pixels or units like that. It's just like a base scale in this system. So yeah. Okay, that's 2 sides. Then we need to make another 2. So maybe we should give them some color so we can see where they are located. So these would be maybe just red, like dark red, and this one we will make a bright red, and the other one not so bright, so it's easier to tell them apart. And these ones I'm not doing anything yet, so we can do here. So we need to rotate. They probably need to be rotated and maybe not move straight away. So let's see if we can rotate them the right way. So it's something to rotate with pi. So let's see if we do the first one. Nothing happens. This is kind of just guessing, trying to nope. The last one here. I think we should be able to just. Oh yeah, this one is being no. Okay, let's take these out. How do we do this? So it does want to move. Like if you only give it one number, like I'm doing here, then it rotates kind of on its own in all dimensions. Okay, that's okay. Now it's just working in one dimension. So maybe pi divided by 2. I'm not good with it. Yes, that looks nice. Okay. Then we need to move it. That was the first, so let's try to move it -1. And to see it further. No. So okay, now we kind of got to the right place. And again, it's a bit too, yeah, it is, no, you can't use hex colors. You use just, yeah, the 255 numbers. But you can use a color picker. I made this script in the Mac that I can just go and pick a color and press OK, and then I can just paste it in here. So let's do that for our new side in the rectangle. Okay, yeah. So let's do this. Okay, it wasn't that hard. So let's do another one of these. And now we can do some more different colors this time. And then we should just do this. Bingo. Okay. This is a lot more code than I normally do. So one thing you can do is you can build functions and put them in separate files if you have something you like to easily access. I haven't really done that yet, but it's an option if there's some things you like to get back to. Just gonna make this one blue. Good. Okay. Yeah. Now you see the code because it's also a bit flaky, this software. So we're having some talking a lot with the programmer who made the Improviz about that when you have it in a window and it's not filling the whole screen or some other weird cases, then it does some weird stuff. It has this way of showing the code in the output, because that's when you normally do live coding, you also show the code. right now I have the editor on the side, so you can see it there, but you can also have it show on the window, but then it's not updating. You're not seeing it when you write the code, you just see it when you update the code. Yeah, both can have the good reasons or bad reasons, depending on your audience and how you want the performance to be. But I'll just turn it off again now because we have the code here. Is the code big enough for people to read? By the way? Okay, we got that far. So yeah, now I'm gonna try to make the last one. Bingo. And okay. So now we have our own cube that we build ourselves with different colors. So my idea is kind of having the sides moving out and going back into a center. So what we do is in this move function, we made a lot of them, like for each triangle to make it move in the right place. So one easy way to do it might be to make a variable that we just then multiply all these numbers with, or do some other math, minus or plus. I think multiply will work. And then we could do like, what should we call it? Axis. I think it's that way you spell it. Just ax. Yeah. Now. Okay, AX. That's short and nice. And then we give it sine or cosine functions are really good because they move back and forward, and they just take a number like the time function that we have here, and it goes from whatever number you give it, and then it do some math on it, and if it's a counting number like sine, then it just goes from -1 to +1. So it will do something like I imagine. So now we've made that, and then we try to multiply it with all these numbers and seeing how they work. Let's just try 2 of them. And it's going a little slow because the rotating is going at its 1 speed, and so I will, yeah, can even make it go faster. So now it's like a motor, kind of. Yeah, so it works. So we just need to add it to the others. Yep, that's kind of what I was going for. And now we can control all the movements by changing the numbers in this one. Oops. We can make it go slower, and we can make it go further, because if you do any math within the parentheses, then it's still just going from -1 to +1, but it's just changing the speed of it if you multiply it. But if you multiply outside, it should go further, like multiplied by 5. So it goes 5 units out. Yeah. And then we can make one called size, because maybe we want the squares to be bigger. So right now we make the size to be 4. And then for all the rectangles, they take it right now. They don't have an argument in the parentheses, so they can, yeah. And Atom and Sublime Editor and probably a lot of more advanced editors have this option, so you can edit more pages at once, which is really cool. So you mark the word that you like, and then you press Command or Control D, and then it marks all the other words that are the same. And then you have like different cursors, and then you can put in just size several times. It's kind of an easy way to do replace, but search and replace, but faster. So yeah. One thing we can do is take out all the colors, because they were like mostly there just to help us. Of course, it's nice with colors, but maybe we just right now we just make them all go away by comment them out. So we just have a white. The white is pretty boring, so let's do another fill, which is outside of, like when you indent things with a tab, like you see here, then you use what is normally called matrix map, where you translate something. What is it called? It's called push and pop in processing or matrix math, which I have no idea about how it really works, but that's what it's called. So it only, when you indent stuff, it only does this thing to the thing below it, and then when you're back on row 0 or 1, the first row of characters on the line, then it resets back to the normal whatever thing you gave it. But let's give him some colors here. Yeah. Good. So let's do an aubergine thingy. Eggplant. And you can also make it transparent by giving in the fourth argument. Yeah, not really that cool. Let's take that away again, and then just do that with all the other colors. So if we mark them again, and then we can edit out the fill, and then we add alpha. Maybe we just do the alpha as a variable outside, so it's easier to adjust. So yeah. And one other thing that could be interesting to do is kind of to have these planes rotate. So let's try to do that. We already have rotate out here that like kind of just keeps everything rotating nice and smoothly, so you can see all the sides of the shape. But what if you want to have each side of this plane rotating like a like it's a record? So we want it to spin around the center of the rectangle. So put in a rotate, and then we want to indent it, I think. Let's see how it does if we don't do that. And we probably want to do it on the Z axis, if I'm correct. Yes. Kind of looks right. Doesn't really make a difference if we indent this thing. So we can just copy this and go through how would you do that? Like when you're live coding, it's about how can you fastest edit something sometimes to get the effect, especially if you have such a complex kind of code like this. But the thing that's the same in all of them is the rectangle. So we mark all of those, and then we No. We insert first the rotate thing, and then we change the line, and it kind of looks okay. So let's see how that works. So now they're all rotating a bit slow. So maybe we take this and then make it just time, and then see. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. What else? We can also change the shape to something else than a rectangle. Most of them are sorry, I'm just gonna get some water. Yeah, most of the shapes in the default shapes in Improviz is 3D shapes, and this is also a 3D shape. It's just missing the like something that goes on the set plane, I think. So we can try to do it with triangles, and then we can kind of more see what's going on, and then maybe it would be cool to have it not doing as reflected, because you see the opposite sides is reflected and moving in the same way. So we can do the rotate for each of them and trying to do some different math with it, like multiply every second one with 2 or 3, or divide it by some other, or 0.4, or let's see how that, then it gets a lot more chaotic. You can also try to change the shape from triangle to sphere, which would be interesting because it's, yeah, they have another dimension all of a sudden. So it's not that they kind of all clustered together. So it's good we have the size thing, so we can make it smaller. Let's make it too small. Yeah, maybe just 1. That's kind of okay. So yeah. And now I'll make the background black, and I want the lines not to be on the shape, so I can use the no stroke function. That could, okay. Maybe it's not working because the guy who made Improviz, he's been changing a lot of things lately. So maybe no stroke is not working, and now you have to use stroke size, which then you put to 0. Yeah, because before you couldn't change the stroke size or width, but you can now. It's so yeah, but let's just do 0. Got some nice blobs, and you can see that they are transparent when they get back together. And also maybe it would be cool to not have them just bouncing like that, but move more randomly. So that would be the move thing we have going, which is the axe thing. So if we mark, like take some of the axe and then put in another number, then you will get something different. Okay. They're still kind of moving in the same pattern, just some of them are going further away than before. So not really what I wanted to do. Instead we can add some yeah, I don't know. What do you want to see? You guys out there? Any ideas for something to try to make, or questions about how to do stuff, how to perform and stuff like that? We've got like 15 minutes left, but maybe we'll go a bit longer because we had some issues in the beginning. Just gonna put on some music because it's when I do this, I normally do it when someone's performing. So that's how I get the inspiration for what's going on in the moment. So I'm gonna try to put some music on and just check my level so I don't burst out. So be sort of as a question, so I'm trying to put down the music and answer it. Can you make line between the circles? How do points work? There's no points really. So it looks a lot like processing, but the logic is kind of different. It's a bunch of shape that you put into a space. So the shapes are predefined, or you make your own. So yeah, like on my drawing for this sketch, I had the lines for each of the axes, which would be kind of my idea. To begin with. Should you? And there is a line element, but it's just a shape that goes from one point to another. So you can't really define, because when you want a line, you want to define a start and ending point in the space. And like you could see how I move stuff around, I use the move function to move stuff around. You can't say I want a shape from that spot to that spot and have this diameter, or like you would do when you do a triangle or a line in processing. So not really. Yeah, there's a lot of constraints, and I also see them as a like a creative challenge, that you can't do all of these things, and it's also can get really complicated. Yeah. But if you want to do something like that, then you can look into P5 Live, which is a live coding environment that's basically just processing, or P5 JS. And they've been doing some new stuff on that, so take a look at that. Yeah, I wanted to make it a little more interesting, because now it's just colors. So like I said in the beginning, and also showed, there's this thing called textures, where you can put in your own images. I made some, maybe we should make them a bit bigger again. So yeah, so this is some glitchy thingy that I found once, and then I made these dithering patterns using something called the dithering machine. You can also do it in any editor, because I wanted to play around with transparency, which you can't really do in the like when you have a shape like a color, you can give an alpha value, but you can't give an alpha value to a texture as it is now. But a texture can contain an alpha value. Like here you can kind of see that like it's going from white to black, and then the black is actually transparent. You can try some other shapes here. And it also looks like it can actually have alpha value in the whole spectrum. So here you can kind of see through some of the shapes, some of the colors. Like some of them are completely transparent, like what is just the background. We can try to make it white so it's easier to see where it is the transparent. Yeah, and that you can do a lot with. And then there's these simple effects. There's this paint over, which is like not defining a background color in the processing in the loop function, or whatever it's called, the draw function. Yeah, compared to the setup. So this makes a lot of cool things. So yeah, So let's try to take out the textures. Like if you do, like now I have the fill, which would make everything green, but if I do something else after that that does something on the same kind of level, then that takes precedence. So we take out the texture, then we get back to some green lines, and it gets really fuzzy because the fill, this color has a alpha value, so it gets really like mist, or can get really trippy. And if we take out these, where we have bring the colors back, then it can become like even more trippy. It's very 80s, 90s, these colors, but I kind of like that aesthetic that you at least for now. And then you kind of see some things happening. We should make it go a bit slower. And maybe make no alpha. See how that goes. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts? I'm gonna change them from being filled out to be just this the outline of the rectangles. So I change the fill to stroke, and then we still have this one that tells it to fill. So we take that one out and then make a no fill on top, so it's everything should, and you get these nice spiral patterns. And they kind of just, like, you can't really predict where they're going. And what you would do live, it's that you have a feel for how the music is going, and if it's going up and down, and like try to adjust the tempo and how it looks to the texture of the music. So it's very few sounds. You maybe want to have just a simple shape rotating or doing some simple stuff, or some simple lines. Not lines like you were talking about e-music, but lines by having a rectangle that you make very thin. Like right now we just made the rectangles into squares, but you can give them more parameters, so we can even make them change in size. So if we do like a sine and times t, and then maybe +1, so it doesn't go completely down, and then we do, that should be it, because it's, and to see what's going on, we're gonna take out the paint over, and it's a little annoying that you can't just delete it, but oh, you can now, great. Yeah. Let's bring it back to see how it is. Yeah. Now you can see that they're changing size, but it didn't freeze. A bit too thick. Maybe we're gonna try to use the stroke function. So, yeah. It's still going down to 0, so that's why. So So what else can we make? Just gonna save all of this in a new file. Good. So do it later. So let's try to do something new again. Yeah. Okay, let's just try to jam to this track. So do something really simple. Make a triangle. That's a little boring, so no fill, and then give it some nice colors. And then we can do some colors that goes up and down. So we can do time times 255, and we can like this. So what I'm doing is putting numbers together that in total goes somewhere between 0 and 255. So this would actually be, yeah, let me just do like changing from, yeah, we do like this, and then we should get it, yeah, change from blue to red, and that means there's purple in between. I'll make it a bit bigger, and we wanna start doing some rotate on it. That's getting black. That's kind of, yeah, not that good with math on my head. So we can make it not go all the way back down to 0. It's actually below 0 for a long time. So that's kind of annoying. So we can add like 100 before, and then we don't really need to make it go that high, because then it just goes. I think this should kind of fix it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would actually have liked the triangle to just move in one direction before starting it. So it's like preparing something and have an idea of what's gonna happen before, by knowing your instrument. That's also a good thing, that it's so simple that it's pretty easy to memorize certain kind of actions and you can predict them. So this would be something that I would maybe start out with, and then I build on this. And then another thing I haven't really showed is the loop function, which where you just put in a number and you put in times, and then it just does that, but it doesn't really show anything because it's just 10 times on top of each other. So then you have to do a width and then an I, and then you can use this I as a number that goes from 0 to 10 within this block of code. So we put the I into the triangle function, which defines the size of the triangle. Then we get a bunch of triangles within each other that have different sizes. And if we take this color thing and put it inside here also, then we can use the I to make the colors do different stuff. So we do maybe plus time, see how that goes. Then something new happens, and then we can maybe make minus over here. And then this colors, yes, should go in and out. It's going a bit slow, so we can... Oh, we're using the time there, that's right. So... Oh, that's me. Okay. So now we can have two times, and maybe have one of them move faster, so we can either go in here and multiply it. Oops, we removed the thing that made it go slow and nice. But the colors could shift faster. So we're gonna make one called T2 instead. And instead of times divided by 20, we multiply it by 10 maybe. And then we get some nice lights going. We can do a similar thing with the rotate thing to make it a little more chaotic. And then we have the T in here, and we can try to multiply it and see what's going on, and get this. Kind of like a Christmas tree. But if we put in another axis, yeah. So right now it's going faster on the outside because it's the biggest number. So multiply by minus, divide it. Nope. Why is that not doing anything? And yeah, even though I'm not using any kind of like sound detection, this kind of looks like it's made for the music anyway, by just playing around with the tempos and having a feel for it. It's the best way to explain it. You can take in sound via OSC, but you need an external program to analyze the sound as things are now. I haven't found anything open source that just works yet. But I also find that when you do performances and you have too many things that you can do, too many buttons, too many layers of interaction, then you forget to be creative with the code instead, and you just fiddle with the buttons and values outside, and it doesn't get that nice an expression. But just confuse yourself, like, because you have very limited mental capacity when you are performing, because you're listening to the music and trying to do code at the same time and trying to predict what will happen, and so a lot of times simpler is better, that you can actually still control it. But it's also nice if things get out of hand, if it is chaotic music. But if it's subtle like this and the kind of stuff that Mattia does, then you don't want to get it too out of hand. This track is not really going anywhere crazy, so it's not like, let's try the next one here. Like, unless there's any more questions or stuff that people want to see or ask, then I think I'm gonna shut down for tonight. Come back again tomorrow at 8, where Mattia would continue doing stuff with title cycle. Okay. Can you add a texture as a background or video as background? No problem. You're welcome. Like, you can't put just not in the background function here, but you can do a texture, and you can also do a texture that uses a GIF, and then it changes the frame each time. But you need to put in a lot of code that I'm not familiar with, that you can see in the documentation how to do, but I can do it with a texture just easily. Texture, and then we do like yeah, that's annoying. So we're gonna change this to fill. Like, I never did this, but I imagine that you can do it. Oh yeah, like this. So you don't need to do that, because it just inserted. Oh. Okay, so now you see that wasn't take 1. Take 2. Let's do take 2. Yeah, sorry about that. I have a timer on my internet router, so remember to go to bed. So that's why we had a interruption before. Back to coding. Yes, you can do a texture as a background. I start building it here. You bring in a texture, and you can do it similar with a video. If you put in the extra code, or not a video file, but a GIF with multiple frames, that will work as a video loop. So you need to make it really big, like this, maybe. And maybe you want to move it a bit back, because right now you see it's intersecting with the other things. So we would maybe remove, and that's the Z axis, so 0 dots, comma 0, comma -5. Let's try that. Okay, now we're kind of free of the other things, but now it's too small. So now we need to make it bigger again. So it's a lot of fiddling around with numbers, because you don't have access to an easy pattern, or like the coordinates like you do in processing, because the window is kind of its own 3D world. But then again, then you can do like, to make it a little less static, you can do a rotate, and the Z axis I think would do the work. A little too fast, but then you get like kind of something in subtle in the background. So yeah, that's how you can do do a background on the whole composition, and I think a lot of VJ software does something similar, that they actually have a plane, and it's the same if you're doing a shader. They also just have like a plane, and then you're coding just that plane. But that's, yeah. Does that answer your question, eMusic? Oh, more questions. Yeah. Oh, I have multiple computers running, and the chat on my main computer died. So I just saw a question about transparent like Sonic Pi. Not by itself, no. You need to do something. Oh, eMusic, that's Mikael, right? Anyway, you need to use a third part program, because what it does, it just creates this window, or it creates a window without the borders. But in a way, it doesn't make sense to make Improviz transparent. What you want to do is the program that you want to put on top of it, maybe, to make that transparent. If that makes sense. But you need a third-party program. Like for our performances, we've been setting things up in OBS, Open Broadcasting System, or whatever it's called. And there you can do some stuff with Chroma and Luma key, and that's kind of what I did with the video before it died. That I do some kind of saying this color, like if you have a static background of just green, which is the normal thing, normal color for background, then yeah, then it will be pretty easy to key out. Also because it doesn't do anti-aliasing. If you don't use any effects, you can see it's very brightly cut, so you can just do that exact color value and key that out. But if you put on effects, or if you do any alpha, because right now the shapes are like, then the mixes with the green, and then the green is mixed within the other colors, and you cannot take that out again when it's mixed in. So there's a lot of tricks to do that, but yeah, what you could do if you're using Sonic Pi is that you like it started in the beginning, I don't know if you were there, that you can run it over a network. So you do run the server of Improviz on the same computer as that's running Sonic Pi, and then you have Sonic Pi make it transparent and put on top of the Improviz window. But then someone else is using another computer and set it up via network to send the Improviz code to the Improviz server on the other computer, and then you would have a mixed performance where both of them would be in the same projection pretty easily. It requires that you have a network that allows you to put up servers. So if you are on a school network, you may be not allowed to it. If they want to not have the kids playing games in the network, or like, then you're not allowed to do these things. So you need to set up a more ad hoc network. But yeah, I think that's beyond tonight to try to explain that. But you can just reach out and I can help you set it up if you want to play around with that kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. I think we'll stop now. I think we've been going for pretty much an hour. All in all, where it was not about technical difficulties. Like I can show something, just how to, like when a show ends, it's good to kind of take things down again. You could just delete everything like this, but that's kind of annoying. So kind of deconstruct your thing. Like here we have the 10, so we can maybe put it 8. Like wait a little, do 7, do 4, do 1. Wait, why is 1? Oh, probably because the cutoff thing does something. So do 2, and we still have 1. And then take the speed down. So everything kind of comes to an halt, and then just do this. So yeah, I think we'll stop now. Thank you very much for joining, and join us again tomorrow or Friday for our discussion time. I think will be, we're not sure what we're going to do yet, but we'll figure it out. Okay, take care. Bye bye.